For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest coming all the way from Hawaii. We have Kailee Spark. How's it going today, Kailee?
Good. It's actually pronounced Kailee.
Kailee?
I know it's normal for people to pronounce it Kailee because that's like the mainland pronunciation.
Gotcha. I should have asked, and I was overconfident myself. I usually ask, and then I see like, oh, this is the only way it could be pronounced, and then nope, it's not. So I apologize, Kailee Spark. I apologize about that.
It right. So far, I know somebody who was delivering something to my house here, Kailee, Spark. So yeah, it's a common mistake.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. All right. So. First off, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. I'm really excited to sit down and chat with you, get to know more about life in Hawaii, your music, your album, your music video, just everything you got going on. You had a really busy last 4 days, right? The album released on the 30th.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do math, so that's 5 days technically, I believe. So before we kind of jump into all that stuff, what's kind of your background story? What got you into music, stuff of that nature?
Well, I was raised in California, and I always was exposed to music through like my parents who listened to a lot of classic rock and kind of folky stuff, and through church. I was raised Mormon and did choir stuff through the church, and then also in school I did choir and I guess I did band for one semester. Yeah.
And
I started taking piano lessons around age 8 and started to write songs when I was, I think, around 12. I wrote my first song on the piano. And then when I was 14, I got my first guitar through, there was a gentleman at my church, this really eclectic character named Uncle Billy. And he owned a hot dog stand that I would work at sometimes, like on the weekends and stuff. And randomly on Christmas morning, he just dropped off this little acoustic guitar as a gift for me and my sister. But of course, I stole it because I was more interested in it. Yeah, and I started writing songs on the guitar and been writing songs ever since then. And this is my first album, even though I've been writing songs forever. So it's really, really special for me, and really happy that I can finally share my music with more people than my friends.
Absolutely. I not to jump into it too soon, but I had a chance to listen to the album, and it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. So I do want to say that. But kind of when you were first starting to go through your journey as a musician, the first instrument you picked up was the piano you'd mentioned. What was it kind of about the piano that spoke to you, I guess, is the way I want to word it?
Well, my parents had a piano, and especially in like the Mormon church, it's really common to like send your kids to piano lessons or some kind of instrument. And we had a piano. My mom played piano, so it was kind of like the obvious thing. I also played clarinet for a little bit, but that wasn't as fun.
Yeah, I got you completely.
The piano is so great. It's like, it's easy to write songs on pianos.
Completely understood. And then, of course, you told the story about the guitar, getting the guitar kind of for Christmas. It just happened to be for you and your sister, and you kind of took it over. Who were you, as you were starting to learn how to play the guitar, who were you listening to for influences as far as musically speaking?
I was listening to a lot of Jewel and Blink-182 and different like pop punk bands during that time in high school. And yeah, I'd say, a little bit of Avril Lavigne, I guess, too.
So quite an eclectic,
Yeah.
kind of eclectic as far as the musical styles.
Right.
Yeah. And so going through school, you started playing guitar. At what point did you end up moving to Hawaii, where you're at now?
I moved to Hawaii like 12 years ago.
Okay.
I came out here for like a small internship at this weird, well, yeah, it is weird. This weird community, like clothing optional, hippie kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I really loved it here. I love the islands. It just kind of felt like home. So I decided to move here and finish school and just ended up staying. I love it.
Gotcha. And so you're Hawaii forever now, just kind of living the Hawaiian life. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Nice.
I like to travel and like leave every now and then, but it's so nice to come back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Just fresh air, it's so clean, and beaches, just beautiful.
Nice. And Hawaii is one of the places that is still on my bucket list of places to go.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
It'll happen one of these days, but it hasn't happened yet, so give it time. But so you'd mentioned that you'd been writing music for a long time, and you just recently started or at what point did you decide you wanted to put it all together as an album? At kind of going through your writing process.
Good question. Well, yeah, there's been lots of points where I'm like, gosh, really should make an album and get this recorded. But then, like, there's certain barriers like time and doing stuff with school, and then like money. But then it was when quarantine started in early 2020, and I started to live stream my music a lot on some sites, and people were always asking me like, oh, where can are you on Spotify? Where can I buy your album? And I'm like, oh, I don't have anything. This is just it. And through like the encouragement of people who liked my music, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this. Finally, gonna record an album.
And give it a shot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you finally made that decision, obviously you had a bunch of songs already written, but what was the song selection process like for your album Savor This?
Right. So I guess I just went through, and the songs that I felt were better or finished, because I have so many songs that are like half written.
Yeah. I understood.
And the first song I recorded there was Passageways, which was done, and kind of a more recent song. And then Universe at Your Fingertips was like the other one that I first recorded, and that's a really old song. And so I just kind of went through my old songs and decided if it was good enough to record. And then also this whole process made me feel like, spilled my drink. It's okay, it's lucky. It's good luck when I spill my drink. The process of starting to record, it got me feeling really inspired, so I just went on this whole like musical thing and started writing a bunch more songs, and some of those made it on the album, like Ebb and Flow, Tulips with Teeth, Sparkle and Shine, and World Is on My Side. Those are all new songs that I wrote after I started recording already. So.
Awesome. And you're recording in Hawaii, or are you traveling other places? Are you recording in Nashville, or are you 100% in Hawaii when it comes down to recording?
Yeah, I recorded the entire album in Hilo, Hawaii, at a place called Kukuau Studio.
That's cool. So you brought up that you started getting positive reinforcement to start recording your music during the pandemic. And then as you were kind of cherry picking songs, is it fair you started writing more songs? What kind of is your writing process when you sit down? Are you more freestyle where like you could be just driving down the road and a song hits you and you got to stop, or are you very disciplined, and I don't want to say militant because that sounds weird, but like very disciplined with your writing?
Definitely not disciplined. Whatever the opposite of disciplined is.
Not disciplined. Perfect.
Yeah, typically I just like sit down, and if I have like a mood or something, I'll start strumming guitar or playing the piano, start humming a little bit, and if I'm lucky, if I'm in the flow, the words just kind of like flow through, and write down a whole bunch of ideas of like notebooks and pages everywhere. It's just a complete mess, but
Yeah. Completely.
yeah, it's fun.
Do you find it easier to put a song together or do you usually start with like lyrics, or will you wait until you have an instrumental and then write to a specific instrumental?
Yeah, I've typically always started with an instrument. But last night, actually, I was like, oh, I should just try and make a whole song from just like singing, like try and switch it up and see how it's different. So yeah, I'm gonna do some experimentation.
Nice. And so now that your debut album is out, first off, before we jump in further, where can people find your album?
Oh, you could find it through my website, KaileeSparkMusic.com, and it's also on iTunes and Apple Music and everywhere, Spotify as well. Yeah. Actually, it'll be on Spotify tomorrow, I think.
Actually, because that was one thing I did want to bring up, just kind of I thought it was kind of an interesting promotional tactic that you waited a little bit to get it out on Spotify. I don't know if that was intentional or if it just kind of happened that way.
We'll say it was intentional.
Because I've always thought that you could use Spotify as a way to promote singles for the album instead of promoting the album. Like just kind of going through this and talking to a lot of musicians, there's got to be a way for people to still be able to turn a profit with their music and not rely on 100% Spotify streams. So yeah. So now that the album is out now, what's kind of going through your head?
Oh, I guess there's a big sense of relief because it was it was a lot of work going into it, and a little bit of stress. Not really that much stress, but yeah, it feels really good to have something now. Now I'm like, okay, who can I share this with now? And that's what's going through my head. And then also at the same time, I'm like, all right, let's move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. But before we move on to the next thing, you did release a music video for Passageways, and then I believe you released a lyric video for, what was the lyric video? Or is there a couple of lyric videos?
Yeah, there's a couple of lyric videos that I just posted in the last few days, and there's also a video for Sparkle and Shine. Yeah.
So for Passageways, because that was the one that I watched the most recently, was that always a song that you wanted to do a music video for, or what was kind of that thought process when it came to music, like doing music videos?
I hadn't really thought of doing a music video for that one. Actually, my first choice for a music video was Universe at Your Fingertips. But initially, me and my the producer Bub, like we had these grand ideas for the Universe at Your Fingertips video, and like we didn't have a way to like do that right away. So we're like, okay, what can we do next? Oh, Passageways might be a good choice. It's a good song. So yeah, that's why I did that one first, and I really love how it came out with all the jungle and the mud and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really cool. Originally I was watching it and I was really taken by the scenery, and then I thought maybe it was just going to be like another lyric video, and then you started coming in and started playing and singing, and I was like, oh, this is an actual music video. and it was like the shots were really great. So whoever shot the music video for you did a really good job. So
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it
um,
was his name is Chris Roberts, I think.
well,
Yeah.
how much input did you have on the creative end of the music video for Passageway?
Yeah, it was a group effort. Both me and Bub and the videographer slash what is it called, like editor,
Yeah.
producer. Yeah, like we all kind of collaborated, and they actually mostly came up with the idea. There's like some symbolism in the song about, because the lyrics are like, oh, roaming through your veins and diving deep down in your eyes, and so they're trying to come up with ways to like symbolically show that. So I'm like walking through these vines and stuff. And
I definitely
down
picked up on that.
Okay.
Definitely picked up on that. Then and I'm assuming that's in somewhere in Hawaii in a forest of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a jungle.
Jungle.
Jungly area. It's a really
I don't know if they're called jungles, forests. Like
there's forests here for sure. I think that would be considered like jungle.
okay.
Jungle.
I grew up in the Midwest, so everything's a forest. Like I can go down to the Amazon. Oh, it's the Amazon forest. No, it's the Amazon jungle. Yeah. So do I. No, that's awesome. So kind of moving forward, are you looking at doing any more music videos, or do you have plans or anything getting ready to release as far as music videos go?
Yes, absolutely. I think next Monday we're going to be filming Universe at Your Fingertips music video.
Are you going to be going after the grand idea that you had for it originally?
No, but it's gonna be even better.
Nice. That's I like the way you answer that one. And then kind of moving forward after that, you said you always like going on to the next thing. What is the next thing for you right now?
Writing more music,
Yeah.
just having fun with that, and yeah, diving deeper into songwriting, and yeah, continuing to promote the album and get it to as many people's ears as possible. And
Do you have I don't know what the COVID pandemic lockdown situation is in Hawaii right now, but are you looking at the possibility of getting out and playing live shows, like doing little mini tours or anything of that nature?
possibly, probably not until like next year, early next year.
What would a Kailee Spark live show look like in your mind?
Lots of bantering and yeah, just a chill show, acoustic, probably.
So you kind of see yourself staying in the acoustic realm and not so much, or do you see yourself eventually getting like a band and doing some kind of a full band thing?
It might be really fun to experiment with having a full band, but I also like the freedom of it just being me.
Yeah. Actually, that is a very interesting statement because people underestimate the freedom of being a solo act, whether that's like, a hip hop act or a solo acoustic or, whatever it is, because don't have to rely on anyone else when you go out and play shows. Like you don't have to worry about other people's schedules or concerns or, travel restrictions, whatever it is.
Right.
So,
and even with just within like the song, I read Jules' autobiography, and one of the things that she mentioned that really made me think was, because she was always like an acoustic artist, but when she started touring and had a band, like it really threw her off because she's so used to having like doing pauses and like feeling out like through the song, but with the band she had to like, stay with the band, and sometimes it felt kind of stifling for her.
nice.
So yeah, it's nice to just be solo.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you feel like winging a song a little bit and going off course,
Yeah.
Nobody else has to keep up with you. So, no, that makes perfect sense. Um, but outside of music, when you need some alone time to get away from the stress of life, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do to get away from everything?
I like to take baths, like for a long time. So I think my dog's like wrapped up. I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
No worries.
Hey, why are you all wrapped up around this? Come on. Okay, she was stuck around a tree.
I heard her yelping, and I was like, "Oh, no, yeah." So, what? So, baths. That's pretty much your hobby. Is that fair to?
Recently, my other thing is I love traveling. It's been a while since I've been able to travel, but yeah, I'd say that's one of my top 5 things to do. It's traveling too.
Where's some places that you haven't been yet that you really want to go?
Oh, I really want to go to Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
And I've never been anywhere in South America, so yeah, I would love to.
Nice. So pretty much a lot of international places is kind of would it be ideal to play your music there as well, or
that would be fun. I could somehow combine like international traveling with doing shows.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, music is a universal language, right? So,
yeah.
But so given that you're still, I don't want to say new to music because that's not 100% accurate. Like you've been writing and playing for a long time, but you're kind of newer to the releasing.
I'm new to the scene.
New to the scene. There you go. What's been some of the troubles you've had trying to build your following and get your music out there?
Troubles. Well, I guess I feel pretty lucky because on that side of things, like I haven't really been stressing myself out too much about it. I've mostly just been able to focus on like trying to have good songs.
Yeah. So you've pretty much been focusing on just the song writing and performance and recording aspect.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff too, but I wouldn't say it's like that troubling or
Gotcha.
stressful. Well, it's
I get stressful would have been the better way to phrase that question anyways.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is stress because it takes a lot of money to record and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things is I really kind of dislike social media and like promoting myself. It makes me feel kind of awkward, but yeah. I know like I have to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
I want people to know my music.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Social media is one of those things where it's like, do you keep it professional? Do you make it more personal and then build like personal relationships? Or, like there's 100 different ways you can run social media and it all works, but I guess it ultimately just comes down to what works best for you.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then as far as like going through the recording process for the first time, what's one thing that you've learned about yourself as a singer kind of going through the recording process?
Well, like a positive one is I learned that I have really good like timing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was that good, but when I was recording like the guitar parts and stuff, they're like, "Wow, that's like you have the most first takes out of like anybody we've ever worked with." Like, I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I mean, I learned so much about recording and the whole process and myself. It's hard to pinpoint just one thing.
But you did pick up knowledge on the whole recording process, so you could hopefully better learn or take those things that you've learned into the future and make yourself a better recording artist moving forward, right? Is that fair? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And then one of the things that we really like to do here on Live and Amplified is we try and cultivate the next generation of musicians. And since you just kind of went through this whole process for the first time yourself, what's one piece of advice you would give to the little girl sitting in South Dakota somewhere wanting to play music?
Oh. I don't know if it's really good advice, but I'd say make the songwriting like the fun part. Don't try and write songs like to impress other people or like what you think they'll like. Write what like comes out of your soul, and that's when it's really good.
It's perfect, because you know it's one of those things where musicians kind of start getting into this phase where it's more of a chore than it is, and they forget why they started playing music in the first place. So even though like you think it sounds like weird advice, it's actually very good advice, because musicians have a tendency to lose their eye on the prize, I guess. Yeah. So,
like,
you know, it's one of those things where it's like, just no matter how hard it is, no matter how good it is, you know, how far you make it, just remember why you started when you were 12 years old trying to learn Smoke on the Water, or, you know, whatever song you were learning how to play.
Yeah.
So, what is kind of your motivator that keeps you going as far as musically speaking?
I guess it just feels really satisfying to write songs. And it's even almost as satisfying when people respond to the songs and say, like, you know, it touched them in some way or inspired them and brought tears to their eyes. That, like, it makes me feel really good. And it just kind of feels like I'm supposed to write music. So.
Gotcha. And I don't normally do this, but I was looking through the comment section and somebody asked a really good question. So I'm going to kind of take it here. Sorry, David, saw your question here, so I'm going to ask it really quick. I had asked you earlier about musical influences, but is there a genre or a specific musician that influences your writing style, or that you look at after your writing style?
No, not one in particular. I guess it's just an amalgam of all the stuff in my brain from the other musicians that I really like.
Gotcha. And then one other thing that I did want to talk about before we kind of start wrapping things up here. I was reading through your website that you attended Van's Warped Tour in San Francisco.
Yeah.
At some point, was that like a big influence for you to start writing and stuff like that, or was it just something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I'd say it helped influence me in music. I went to maybe like 4 or 5 different Vans Warped Tours. I loved going to live shows, especially like back in high school. That was it was so good. Yeah. I miss that.
Yeah, I was really sad when they canceled it. I was like, or stopped doing it or whatever it is. And then early on, I think it was this year, there was something circulating on Facebook that they were maybe bringing it back this summer, and they have like a fake lineup. And I was like, this can't be real. Look at this lineup. This lineup makes no sense. And then it ended up being fake. So I was like,
bummer.
Yeah. But you went regularly while you were in California?
Yeah. I went to one in Idaho too. That was fun.
Nice. Man, I just, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that Idaho would bring in Van's Warped Tour. For whatever reason, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around that. So
Yeah, it was fun.
who are some of the, speaking of kind of like live shows and stuff, or shows that you've been to, what's been some of your most memorable moments as far as live shows and people you've seen?
Seeing Connor Oberst in San Francisco was great. Actually, I think it was his group Monsters of Folk. Yeah, but it was in a pretty like small venue, and I love his songwriting and his music, so that was like very thrilling. And also back in high school, I would go to lots of Saves the Day shows, really small shows, and yeah, that was very exciting for me.
Nice. And this was all in California. You said you were from San Francisco originally, or Bay Area?
Yeah, the Bay Area.
Okay. I'm glad you guys word it like that, because growing up, I always said I was from Chicago, and then I'd run into people actually from Chicago, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're not really from Chicago. You're from the Chicagoland area." And it's like, all right, fine. I'm from the Chicagoland area. I'm sorry.
Chicagoland area.
Yeah. So no, that's really awesome. But I want to thank you so much for jumping on here. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you. For people that want to follow you on social media or want to check out your album, where's the best place for them to do that?
Oh, well, you can find my Twitter is at Kailee_Spark, and then my Facebook is Kailee Spark Music, and of course my website, KaileeSparkMusic.com.
Awesome. And then before we leave, I have to ask you the most controversial question a Chicago pizza lover can ever ask.
Okay.
Pineapple pizza, yes or no?
Pineapple pizza. You know, I wouldn't order it with pineapple, but if there's a pizza and it happens to have pineapple on it, I won't deny the pizza.
Okay.
But I prefer like anchovies and like olives and stuff like that.
Fair. That's fair. I said that once where I don't specifically order pineapple and I won't eat it, but if I am hungry and there happens to be only pineapple pizza in front of me, I will suck it up and I will eat it. So 100% agreed. I was kind of expecting you, because you're in Hawaii, to say yes, but then you took a left turn on me and it was just like, oh, okay. Well, that wasn't what I was expecting.
I love pineapple and I love fresh pineapple, but the pineapple they put on pizza is like the canned kind.
Yeah.
So it's not as good.
That's fair. Very fair.
Why would you waste good pineapple on a pizza?
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. But once again, thank you so much for jumping on. It's been an absolute blast. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you go check out our new album, Savor This, on our website, and follow her on all our social medias. We'll make sure in the comment thread below and in the comment section of the podcast. Did it just start raining?
Oh, yeah, it's been raining for the past, 7 minutes.
Oh, I couldn't see. I saw it get dark all of a sudden, and I was like, oh, okay. I saw wind pick up, and okay, perfect.
Yeah, my computer's mostly covered, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you guys so much. We will catch you guys later.